Hiya, how you doing? My name's Pam Modi, and in this session I'm going to just talk through some specific features of John Berger's ways of seeing. Now, John Berger, in respect to the Frankfurt School, does in ways of seeing identify theoretical influences that include, for example, Walter Benjamin, who is a member of the Frankfurt School, and his work in terms of mechanical reproduction. So Berger can be situated therein within the Frankfurt School's focus on critical theory. Now, a key feature of ways of seeing is that it has a recognition of the notion of the gaze. It has a recognition that how we see the world can be understood in relation to various social constructions of how we are to see the world. And he's particularly interested in a sort of Western European constructions that almost provide a sort of a lens through which we see the world and describe the world and come to define the world therein. And of particular significance to this session is John Berger's contribution in relation to the way in which this Western perspectivism comes to define the representation of the female. And I'm going to just focus on just unpacking a particular aspect of the wider theoretical contribution that John Berger makes here. And that is the notion of the way in which the male and female, and yes, he is here actually using sort of a heteronormative model that is binary, which can be put forward as a critique of Berger. But let's explore what Berger's saying first of all. That he is focusing on the male and female presence, okay, male and female presence, and making contrasts therein. Now he argues that male presence is very much based on that which it can be controlled. It's a presence that presents itself as productive and able to control the world around as part of this productivity. So it's very much about a control of the external world. Conversely, the female presence is about a control in relation to their self, the female self. The female presence is almost an object of control. And so the female presence is constantly surveying itself in respect to the dominant male heteronormative order. And so the female presence is defining itself in relation to a heteronormative hierarchy, a heteronormative masculine hierarchy, and the expectations of this heteronormative masculine hierarchy. So the female presence is defining itself, is recognizing this heteronormative masculine hierarchy and looking at the extent to which their presence is in tune with the expectations of that heteronormative masculine hierarchy. At the same time, the female presence is also distancing itself from itself as a female, because it's being defined in relation to this heteronormative hierarchy. So it's almost as if female presence involves a distance from the female self in respect to its reflections in terms of a heteronormative male masculine hierarchy. And that's what I wanted to share with you and encourage your reflections on that in respect to how Berger then applies this framework to explore European art traditions and the notion of the gaze in respect to the conventions of European oil painting. For example, the convention of the nude. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
So I'm a university lecturer. I teach around issues around leisure, and I just wondered, could you just tell me why it was important for you to be here today?
Well, it's really important for us to support our sector of arts and culture. We're all musicians here today, but we've come to also support the stage crew, the lighting crews, the actors, like everybody in the arts and culture sector has been put on hold, and the government is not really showing the support that they are for other sectors, and we're just here to have our voices heard that we are viable. Like it was put in the press recently that the arts are not viable, and we are viable. We are important, we're valuable. I mean, we bring £10.8 billion to the economy every year, and for every pound spent on a ticket, there's another £2 spent at restaurants or bars, hotels. So we do contribute a lot to the economy. So we're just here to say, don't forget that.
Well said. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I just wanted, could you just tell me more about the issue around viability and why it is that there's the way in which the government is actually managing the COVID crisis, which is very important and we completely support them, but how are they not understanding the viability model not applying to the cultural and creative industries?
Well, I'm a double bass player. I'm not an economist, but it doesn't take a genius to know that industry that is worth £10.8 billion a year to Great Britain needs more than 1.7 billion as a lifeline. That 1.7 billion is just about keeping some of the venues open. If the venues close, there will be nowhere to perform music in the future. But as well as that, there's all of the people around music, in and around music. It's not just the performers, the conductors, the players, the jazz and the rock musicians and the West End show players. It's all of the staff behind them, behind the scenes, the stage management, the production crew, everybody. Then there's also the box office staff, all of the people who serve you food and drink when you go out to anything. This industry creates work for 12 million people in Britain. Can you imagine the economic crisis if 12 million people are jobless? That's like nothing we have ever seen before in over 100 years, or ever, frankly. So the economic short-term view of the government in supplying the arts with an injection of 1.7 billion for an industry that's worth 10.8 billion a year is laughable. And you don't need to be an economist for that. Even a double bass player can work that out.
Thank you very much, sir.